Hey guys, so yet another Netflix original film has been released, this time with the title of The Titan. Now this one stars Sam Worthington and Taylor Schilling. This is essentially the story of a man who undergoes this experiment. There's a big problem on Earth right now, or at least in the movie, where like crops are dying. Life itself is not sustainable anymore with such a large population, so we have to try and figure out alternative methods. Now, the idea of this scientist is that instead of staying on Earth, we're going to go to the moon Titan, which is the largest moon of Saturn, and we're going to inhabit that. So essentially, he takes a bunch of people, and not takes them, but they volunteer into this experiment where they'll be essentially genetically mutated to be able to survive on Titan and sort of start a new civilization there where there's a lot more opportunity for resources and creating life and sustaining life rather than doing so on Earth where things are just out of control. Now, I didn't really know anything about Titan going into it or starting it up on my Netflix. I didn't watch a trailer or really anything other than just knowing Sam Worthington was in it and it's something space related. That was pretty much all that I knew. And it seemed like an interesting enough story, and I was actually really into it for the first half. When he sort of volunteers for the experiment and he starts getting these shots and starts changing slowly. Little things at first, like his body temperature, being able to sort of breathe, not necessarily breathe underwater, but have his body genetically change so that he can adapt to a totally different environment in space. That was actually really interesting, and I quite enjoyed it a lot. And then the second half of the film starts, and especially when he fully transforms into, I guess the best word for it is creature or alien that they've created, it just went all downhill for me. I was really liking that first half. It had that science-y vibe to it, with that space exploration that's really cool, had a great story. I was kind of invested in it, really wanted to know what was going to happen, especially with our main character and his family. And then the second half, once he fully changes, it was just done for me. I just could not believe it whatsoever. The effects that this guy had on him looked very sloppy. It looked like he was bloated with just the makeup and like the silicone, whatever sort of prosthetics that they put on him. It was just not working at all for me. And it just really took me out of the movie, and I essentially stopped caring. It really jumped the shark is probably the best way that I can explain it, because things happen in the second half and at the very end of the movie that just make you go, what? Like, it has no explanation whatsoever. But I guess that's also kind of where it's going, that you don't really know what you're getting into until it's happening. But this one just goes way above and beyond that and just goes straight for ridiculous as fast as it possibly can in the second half. And since we're talking about those special effects and sort of makeup thing, let's go ahead and just get right into the weird things that I automatically didn't like and made this movie jump the shark for me. First of all, when he changes, obviously that prosthetic thing that I just said, but then into that he sort of gains these abilities. Like, the people in this experiment have different reactions to it, as you would expect, to these shots and genetically changing, which makes sense to me. I'm no scientist, but it's plausible. But then they sort of have this weird thing where their hands can vine out, or they can extend them and attack people with them. They're not necessarily knives, but they're this really weird thing. And when they make that full transformation, for some reason they can no longer talk, and they can only hear vibrations or speak through vibrations, something along those lines. And for some reason they surgically fuse their middle finger and ring finger for no reason whatsoever. It just looked cool. There's no explanation for it. And then they have these glider things, as these wing glider things under their arms all of a sudden that have no purpose whatsoever. And he uses it at the end for no reason. These things are zero explained, zero reason for them. There's no purpose whatsoever for these little things. And I know this is probably spoiling it for anybody, so I'm really sorry if I spoiled it, but it just makes no sense. And I just wish that something would have been explained, or these changes he was going through made sense for the environment he was going to go into. And none of that happened. It almost felt as if they were trying to rekindle the magic of Avatar. There's even a promotional poster that I'll put right next to me that tries to show, essentially, remember that Sam Worthington was an Avatar? Well, this kind of is going to be like that, but it's nothing like that. I think they were trying to rekindle that magic that Avatar had, but there was so much attention to detail in Avatar that this is completely not that. And it's really, really disappointing because it sort of had a good story in the beginning, but then it just faltered. And that's really a shame because other movies, especially sort of that creature feature or creating some sort of creature film, has done in the past. The best example that I can give of this is going to be with Splice. Now, Splice, I don't remember what year it came out, but it stars Adrian Brody, and this guy creates a creature, or genetically creates like this creature, and the creature grows up, and they're fine, they're like parents, and it's great, and then they sort of become attracted to the creature at one point, he does, and like he has sex with it, and then at some point, like, it changes genders, and it just goes completely bananas, and it makes no sense whatsoever. I feel like this one was along that same track where if you let it go for longer than the runtime was, it probably would have gotten even more ridiculous and stuff that would have made even more less sense than we had in the hour and 37-minute runtime, whatever it is. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't know if this is an issue with those sort of creature features that are being released that, yeah, they have a great concept and they know how to build up that tension and things that are happening and get you involved, and then just completely jump the shark and disregard everything that they did and just go straight for that sort of horror element or for that killer instinct or whatever weird stuff that they can create and just throw it all in the second half. It just made no sense. And when we got into the second half of this movie, it just blew my mind as to how uninterested I was anymore now that he's an alien creature thing and we're focused on Taylor Schilling's character, who was before a secondary character and then all of a sudden becomes very much the primary character. And this movie just made no sense in a lot of that aspect to me, and it just ended up confusing me and making me not interested than actually being invested in the movie and the characters themselves. And then there's Taylor Schilling's character, who we know from Orange is the New Black. She does a pretty good job conveying that mother character, that wife character, sort of showing that concern. But at the same time, she also feels disconnected. I don't know if it's because she was that secondary character in the beginning and then flips to be that primary hero type character towards the end. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but again, it just wasn't super exciting. I don't feel like anybody really did a great job acting in this movie. Probably the best would be Taylor Schilling out of all of them. But there was really no standouts. And I think that everybody was just sort of there, not necessarily just for the paycheck, because I don't necessarily feel that was the way. I think people tried, but again, it falls in that creature feature sort of category for me where it starts out great and then just falls flat on its face. So essentially, the Titan had a great concept. I really liked how it flowed in the beginning, and then it just sort of faltered and started stumbling, and then it fell, and then it was just on the ground. I feel like this movie had a lot of potential, but it just couldn't quite get there all the way. And that's just really unfortunate. I feel like Netflix has kind of fallen into a hole with a lot of their original content as far as movies go. I'm really hoping that they'll pick it up at some point and bring something that's really interesting. But so far, the most interesting one that I've seen so far is Bright. And even that one has come under a lot of scrutiny. But unfortunately, with this movie, I feel like it just didn't quite give me that experience that other sci-fi movies can really give you, especially either alien movies, space movies. It just didn't quite deliver. And for that reason, the grade that I have to give the Titan is a D. So guys, those are pretty much my thoughts on the Titan. Like I said, it is now streaming on Netflix if you want to go check it out. If you have seen it, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's really all I have for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.